After a successful corn day and tractor road run in 2023, Robert and his team decided to plant another field of corn to be harvested later in the year. This year, like last, the money raised would go to Air Ambulance NI. On Saturday, April the 27th, 2024, the members of Craig's Tractor Enthusiasts gathered to plough the ground for the upcoming crop of corn. Ideal conditions allowed the team to plough the field in less than an hour. This year there would be 2 fields of corn grown for the charity event. ploughmen took a break for tea and sandwiches, which had been prepared by Robert's mum. The 15s and Rice Krispie squares looked especially appealing. After the break, the tractor team returned to the field, expecting to finish in about half an hour. With the collection of tractors at work, the rest of the field was ploughed quickly. A few weeks later, on Friday the 10th of May, the club members gathered on a sunny summer's evening to prepare the ground and plant the crop. Robert and Trevor can be seen here pulling the power harrows, with the dust from the dry ground illuminated by the evening sunshine. In these ideal conditions, the Ford and New Holland tractors had the ground ready for planting in less than half an hour. Club members David and his son James filled the seed drill with corn seed. David, driving his David Brown tractor, planted the corn. While Robert Graham in his vintage Massey Ferguson planted the grass seed. Using a unique vintage grass seed planter. club member Alec in his Ford 7810 pulled a Cambridge roller to flatten the earth after the seeds had been planted. As the sun set on this fine summer evening, the club members finished planting the seeds. The tractor men wondered if a good summer was around the corner, as the previous few years had been poor. Unfortunately, this spell of good weather was to be short-lived. About 6 weeks after planting, we visited the field to check on the crop. Robert was pleased with the progress. Despite the recent rain, the young corn had grown well. With the main event scheduled for Saturday, August the 17th, we stopped by the night before to see how preparations were going. Machinery dealers had been setting up their trade stands since early afternoon in anticipation of the crowds tomorrow. The edge of the field was being cut tonight to provide a safe space for the spectators in the morning. Robert also checked how the crop was cutting, and the reports were positive. The club members took a quick break for a group photograph. But there was still plenty to do before the fields would be ready for the anticipated crowds. Work continued right up until dark, getting the final touches in place for the main event in the morning. On the morning of August the 17th, the club members were relieved to see a dry day, especially after the poor weather we had this summer. This year's Charity Corn Day aimed to raise money for Air Ambulance NI. In addition to the corn cutting, there were trade stands, entertainment for children, and refreshments for both adults and children. The air ambulance volunteers helped out on the day, and the crowds of tractors and spectators gathered from early morning. A new feature this year was the appearance of 2 Clydesdale horses, which started the event by pulling a horse-drawn reaper. The crowd enjoyed watching the horses in action, marking the start of a successful day of cutting. Robert's pair of Fords led the classic tractors just after 1 p.m. Robert is seen cutting, with Craig Getty collecting for him. special guest, Father Phil, drove one of a pair of Massey Ferguson tractors, having come all the way from Longford for the event. The tractors were supplied by JB Tyres, Moneymore. This year, over 25 harvesters took part in Corn Day. Later we returned to Robert's yard to see the harvested crop being put into the silo. Frank Andrews and Philip Gardner were kept busy with the shovels, making short work of the trailer loads of cut corn. The 25 harvesters finished cutting the field in less than 2 hours, and the corn day concluded for another year. Both the spectators and club members were pleased with how the event went. On Saturday, November the 16th, Craig's tractor enthusiasts held their second tractor road run. Tractors began arriving at Robert's Yard from 10 a.m. Upon arrival, each tractor received a goodie bag in exchange for the entry fee, which was to be donated to the air ambulance. The Atchison sisters, assisted by Nigel Davidson, collected the entry fees and handed out the goodie bags. Robert's cousin Heather and her daughter Anna made sure no one went hungry. This year there was also a collection of vintage tractors participating alongside the classic ones. run began in Robert's Yard at 12 noon and finished at Coleman's Yard. Over 100 tractors participated in the run. Robert started the 2024 tractor run, which wound through 16 miles of local countryside. We caught up with the run on the outskirts of Clough-Mills. As the last tractors made their way to Coleman's yard, Nuala Chesney from Air Ambulance was there to thank the participants and share information about the valuable service the Air Ambulance provides to the local community.
Well, everybody, on behalf of Air Ambulance Northern Ireland, can I first of all welcome you all here today to Sam's Yard. I'll start off firstly, I think we need to all express our sincere thanks to Robert and his team of people that have organised this event today, and also a very big thank you to all of you folk that have participated in the event. It's fabulous to see everybody out enjoying themselves, and it's actually lovely to see that the rain has stayed off as well. I understand from Robert that his group has already gathered up £10,000 this year for Air Ambulance with an event held earlier in the year, and he's hoping that again you folks will all come back next year and bring others with you next year to run the event again. I think it's important to remember that Air Ambulance is a service that we're very privileged to have here in Northern Ireland. It's one of those things though that none of us ever want to have to avail of the service, but we never know when we actually might need it. And unfortunately, the agricultural community, it's being used on a regular basis, with farm accidents continuing to increase on an annual basis. Yesterday, I live in Portland, but it was out up the road from us a couple of miles at Slat at a car accident there yesterday, and somebody was airlifted and taken off to the Royal yesterday afternoon. Now we've got to remember that when the Air Ambulance arrives, they'll do at the scene, at the side of the road, or in the hay shed, or in the cattle shed, or wherever the accident might take place, they'll actually do everything with the patient that could be done in an A&E environment in a hospital situation. Well, Sam's just reminded me here, just down the road a wee bit a few weeks ago, there was a girl McIntyre, taken to hospital by the Air Ambulance. She's still seriously ill, but at least she's still alive, which is always something. Just to give you some idea of the cost of everything's increasing on a daily basis, and we're all familiar with those costs, but it's now taking approximately £7,500 a day to keep the service running. And that, if you work that out over 7 days a week, 12 hours every day, that equates to about £2.5 million. And that £2.5 million has been gathered up by people like yourselves who are going out of their way to run events to support Air Ambulance. So I think I could blither on here all day, but I don't think we need to talk much more. We'll just reiterate the thanks to Robert and his team, to you folks for coming along today, and obviously to Sam as well for the use of the yard here to bring everything to the end. So thank you very much, folks.
Before Nuala goes, I think we have to show our appreciation to her for coming along today and is highlighting the Air Ambulance to us. So if you don't mind, would you show your round of applause for Nuala for coming along today, please?